As these elections continue across the country, the American people are faced with a very clear choice. We can elect a president who will lead us into more interventionist wars of regime change, or we can elect a president who will usher in a new era of peace and prosperity. It's with this clear choice in mind that I'm resigning as vice chair of the DNC so that I can strongly support Bernie Sanders as the Democratic nominee for President of the United States.
You get to be the vice chair of the National Democratic Party because your party thinks you're going places. But once you get a gig like that, it comes with a price. You have to remain impartial in Democratic primaries, like, say, the big one going on right now between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii this weekend resigned her vice chair position at the DNC, in order to endorse Bernie Sanders for president in this Democratic primary. Now, as a very high-profile Democratic member of Congress, as a rising star in the Democratic Party, as an Iraq War veteran, this endorsement by Tulsi Gabbard is a very big deal for Senator Sanders. I think it's also a big deal for Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. Congresswoman Gabbard joins us tonight now for the interview. Congresswoman, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you for having me, Rachel. It's always great to talk with you.
So, as vice chair of the DNC, you had to be impartial. You couldn't say what you felt in terms of your opinion between the two candidates. When did you come to the decision that you wanted to endorse Bernie Sanders more strongly than you wanted to stay at the DNC and keep to that agreement?
Well, Rachel, I got to tell you, it's been increasingly frustrating over the last several months as I've seen these presidential primaries continue, frankly, on both the Democratic and the Republican side, and how cheaply both they and most of the media have taken the issues of war and peace in not challenging these candidates to really explain their positions in depth, to examine what kind of commander-in-chief they will be for our country, which I think is the most important job that the president has. So as I was going through this frustration and trying in my own way to insert these conversations to push the media to be more accountable for these candidates, it came to a point where I had to see where can I be most effective, because there is so much at stake in this election. And that's why I endorsed Senator Bernie Sanders, because I know firsthand, during my first deployment to Iraq, I served in a medical unit where every single day I saw the high human cost of war. Coming home, serving in Congress now, we're dealing with budgets, and we're seeing every day the economic impact of how all of these resources that we as a country have spent in these interventionist wars of regime change have cost our country and our economy and our ability to really invest and nation build here at home. So I'm endorsing Bernie Sanders because he has that sound judgment and that foresight and that commitment to stopping these interventionist wars of regime change. And there's a very clear difference there between him and Secretary Clinton in that regard.
Well, Secretary Clinton has, I guess I would say that she has tried to persuade Democrats that she would not be more hawkish than President Obama. I asked her that question directly. She said she would not be more hawkish than President Obama, and that perception was inaccurate. She's tried to persuade Democrats that she has learned the lesson of why her vote for the Iraq War in 2002 was the wrong vote. You're not persuaded by that argument from her, clearly, but do you feel like if she won the nomination, you'd ultimately be able to support her, or is this endorsement for Bernie Sanders a real absolute rejection of what she has to offer on this issue that's so important to you?
Yeah, Rachel, I'm glad you brought this up, because there's a few really important points there. I think there's a very clear difference between what someone says and what they actually do. And that's where, as we look at this most important question of who our next commander-in-chief could be and what qualities we look for in them, we can tell what they will do by looking at their past. I have not heard Secretary Clinton actually apologize to my brothers and sisters in uniform, military families, for her vote for the Iraq War. She said it's a mistake and that she's learned from it. But when you go down the line and say, okay, well, how do you explain her being the architect and champion behind the war, the military action to overthrow Gaddafi in Libya? And when you look at the result of that action and that mission that she set out upon successfully. We've got a failed state full of chaos, thousands of lives lost, and now ISIS and al-Qaeda having a stronghold in that country. Take another step forward. If she says she's learned from Iraq, then why is she championing this war to overthrow the Syrian government of Assad and essentially promising to escalate that war if she's elected as president by implementing a so-called no-fly zone? And you've questioned Secretary Clinton on this issue of the no-fly zone and the fact that taking this action would put us directly in conflict with Russia and what the implications of that will be. So again, this is why the issue of judgment is so critical and how Hillary and Bernie differ very greatly, and where there's a clear choice for those who are going to be voting tomorrow and in the coming states about what they're looking for in that commander-in-chief.
Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, if you did this endorsement, as you say, in order to try to get people talking about national security issues in the primary in a way they haven't been already, you have succeeded in doing that, especially by doing it in a way that is so focused. Thanks for being with us
Thank you. We're just beginning, Rachel. Thank you.
Appreciate you.